Now then, Vinyl Monkey here again, 1971, and I thought I'd dress as best I could for the birth of glam rock, out of which came some great stuff and some appalling stuff as well. So anyway, 1971 we are, and in my series of top 10s, and I said this was going to get more and more difficult, and perhaps 1971 is the most difficult. Was 1971 the best year ever for music, pop rock music? Maybe. It's been bloody really difficult. I've spent ages trying to whittle down my collection and listening to stuff and re-listening to stuff, and I'd got it down to a sort of short list of about 40. Well, exactly 40 actually, and I thought, oh, this is terrible. I'm never going to be able to get this down to 10. Anyway, I noticed that sort of half, just about exactly half, were of those 40 albums were from North America, mainly USA, Canada, and the other half were British or Irish. And so what I'm going to do, I suppose you could call it cheating a bit, but I'm going to do my top 10 British and Irish albums from 1971, and next week probably I'll do my top 10 American, and I will at the end of that say what I think my best 3 are. But as ever, even getting the British and Irish down to a top 10 was really difficult. Oh, and while I mention America, by the way, which will be next week, just give a point out to there's a channel, you've probably already seen it, the few people who watch this channel probably already well aware of one called Vinyl Richie, a guy who I think's from the sort of western side of the USA. Really good channel, really good record collection. He's got lots of punky stuff as well, American punky stuff that I haven't got, but real good channel, and he's similarly doing these top 10, so I don't watch his until after I've done mine, because he's well ahead of me. I think he's up to about 1979 or 80 or something now. So anyway, that's Vinyl Richie if you want to seek it out. So yeah, 1971, the ones that didn't make the cut, just very briefly. I mean, two of the great albums that year, I've only got them on CD, so I'm not going to count them. That's Imagine, John Lennon's Imagine. Brilliant album. And the Stones' Sticky Fingers, good album. Not my favourite Stones album, but a really good album. Certainly Imagine would have sneaked into my top 10, but I've never picked up a vinyl copy. I'm not doing live albums either, otherwise these two might have sneaked in. Brilliant live albums, Free Live and Humble Pie's Performance. They're absolutely superb from 1971. And then my all-time favourite, Van the Man, actually had 2 albums out in 1971, Tupelo Honey and his band and the Street Choir. Both brilliant albums. The sort of Van was in sort of feel-good, romantic, chilled out sort of mode, and this one, Tupelo Honey, particularly spectacular album, particularly the sublime title track, Tupelo Honey. And I haven't got them in my top 10 either. I really wanted to like Ram, Paul McCartney. I've sort of been familiar with this album since it came out. My cousin had it, my sister had it, and yeah, sort of, it's always been sort of around, and I've never really got into it. I know it's been reappraised, and it's maybe getting more respect than it did at the time nowadays. But I played it again, and it's all right. It's not a bad album, but it didn't make my top 10. Not one of my faves. I think McCartney's best solo work was just after this, the Band on the Run stuff. Aqualung, brilliant album. The Tull fans will be horrified that I haven't got this in my top 10. But there we are. It's only what my favourites are. I know we might judge. Similarly, people would probably expect this one, Hunky Dory, Bowie. Great album, but I think a bit mixed for me. Some outstanding tracks, but some ordinary tracks. And again, I think Bowie's best work, for me, his most interesting work was a bit later on. Probably his sort of Berlin years, but anyway, that hasn't got in. Wishbone Ash were just getting into their stride, and this is a cracking album, Pilgrimage. That hasn't made the cut either. I really wanted to get this one, and this is Claire Hamill. Lives not far from, or is from not far from where I am in the northeast coast of England, and this is her debut LP. I think she was only 16 or so. Brilliant voice, brilliant songwriting, backed by some superb folk musicians, including John Martin as well on this album, and it's a lovely album, but just outside my top 10, as was Split by the Ground Dogs, fantastic. My second favourite Ground Dogs album. Yeah, hasn't made it. And then I really wanted to get this one in. I love the cover. This is Marmalade Songs, the Marmalade. I think the Marmalade were, I don't know, an underrated group. This isn't a bad album at all. I really love the third track on here, Mama. But it's a good sounding album. I would recommend anyone to dig some old Marmalade stuff out. They were a real good Scottish band in the late 60s, early 70s, but that hasn't made it. So what has made my top 10? Well, in at number 10, my top 10 British and Irish albums from 1971, the Hollies' Distant Light. What a lovely record cover. I should have looked up what the origins of this artwork are, but I do love the record cover. And inside, pictures of the band. This is the Hollies quite a bit after Graham Nash had left. Alan Clark singing. I think Alan Clark left shortly after this, so he might have left and come back again, but this is absolutely gorgeous. Great song, 70s pop rock at its very, very best, superbly sung by Alan Clark. It's a great sounding album. It's a really enjoyable album, one I play again and again. So that's my number 10, the Hollies' Distant Light. My number 9, Cat Stevens, Teaser and the Firecat. This, along with Tea for the Tillerman, probably, in my opinion, Cat's best albums, and he had some great stuff in the early 70s. This is lyrically and musically very, very simple, but with Cat Stevens' thick, rich voice over the top of it, and imbuing this sort of feeling of really strong sort of feeling into every song. I love the track How Can I Tell You, absolutely gorgeous. So that's my number 9, Cat Stevens, Teaser and the Firecat. My number 8, this band had a run of 3 absolutely classic cracking albums. This is Lindisfarne, this is Fog on the Tyne, with its picture of Newcastle Quayside in the 18th century or something. Pictures of the band inside. When I did the Lindisfarne albums rank, somebody kindly pointed out that I thought this looked like a workman's club, these sort of faded, grainy pictures of the band, really good photos, but they're actually on the pub, in the pub on Holy Island, I'm told. So anyway, but this is absolutely stunning album. It's got the 2 singles, Meet Me on the Corner and Fog on the Tyne, of course. It's got the brilliant January song, but from beginning to end, just really, really strong. Lindisfarne at their best. My number 8, Fog on the Tyne. My number 7, and this might be my favourite post-Syd Barrett Pink Floyd album, I think. This is Medal. Weird sort of photograph. I don't know if it's inside somebody's ear, but got all of the band inside. This is Medal. This is for me, the opening track on this, the One of These Days, absolutely stunning instrumental. The second side, of course, is just the epic, brilliant single track of Echoes. But the second 2 tracks, Pillow of Winds and Fearless, brilliant. So I think tracks 1, 2 and 3 on the first side are absolutely great. And I think this would have been an almost perfect album if it wasn't for tracks 4 and 5 on side 1, which I think are a bit silly, a bit throwaway. They could have dispensed with them, in my view, and simply extended those first 3 tracks a bit. But anyway, it's a cracking album. Still a great listen and a great sound. That's Medal, Pink Floyd, my number 7. My number 6 is one of Elton's best. This is Madman Across the Water. I think some people thought this was about Reagan, but I think he denied that it was, or Bernie Taupin denied that it was. As usual in that period, great cover with a lovely sort of booklet of lyrics and inside, really nicely packaged. And this is just a lovely Americana, laid-back feel. The longer songs than his stuff up to that date. they're it's got what's Tiny Dancer, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, the opening track, absolutely stunning. But Elton's singing on this all the way through is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, one of Elton's best, and my number 6 from 1971, Madman Across the Water, Elton John. My number 5, what an album this is. This is Rod Stewart. Every Picture Tells a Story. Rod Stewart just sounds from beginning to end on this that he's just having a great laugh. It sounds live. It sounds like they've done it all in one take. They may well have done it in not many takes, I think. And at the same time, he was in the Faces, and this has got that sort of loose, live sort of sound that the Faces generated. It starts off with the stunning title track, Every Picture Tells a Story, and it also contains on side 2 the brilliant Maggie May, which became the single, and Tim Harden's Reason to Believe. But Rod writes 3 or 4 on this album, and they're all really, really strong songs. He does a brilliant cover of Dylan's Tomorrow Is a Long Time, one of the best covers I think of that track I've heard. And just a fantastic album all round. So that's my number 5, Rod Stewart, Every Picture Tells a Story. My number 4 is a blues album. This is Rory Gallagher, self-titled Rory Gallagher. Sorry about the bit of a cover got a bit of damage there, but and you know, I do like blues, but I tend to like blues like I was on Friday night, sat in a pub, couple of pints with your mates, blues band, informal, brilliant. And I don't tend to play much what I would call pub blues on record, but this is not pub blues. This is much, much more than that. It's much more textured, it's more subtle. They're really, really strong songs. I love the opener, Laundromat, and the second song, Just a Smile. Just the Smile, the second track. I mean, have a listen to that if you're not familiar with that. It's lovely, subtle lead guitar. And then on side 2, Sinner Boy. Well, strong songs all the way through. This is one of the great blues rock albums from the period, I think. Hands Up, the track Hands Up, great lead guitar on it. So that's my number 4, the man from Cork, Rory Gallagher, self-titled. My number 3, and this is a band who I very rarely play. I don't have a great deal of their stuff. I never got into them at the time. This is The Who, but this is their best album, I think, by some way. This is an absolutely brilliant album, from the unbelievable opener, Baba O'Reilly, right through to the sort of iconic closing track on side 2, Won't Get Fooled Again. Every track really, really strong, no weak songs. Song Is Over, which closes side 1, absolutely lovely, great track, brilliant Daltrey singing on that, on this album, particularly on Getting in Tune, the opening track on side 2. Daltrey's voice is just, well, right at the top of its game, and so that's my number 3. It's Who's Next by The Who. My number 2, well, I really don't want to say it too much, it's all been said. This is Led Zeppelin 4 as it's become known, the Four Symbols album, their fourth album in 3 years really. And this is just outstanding, you know, from heavy rock, blues, stomping sort of swampy blues to folky sort of rock. It's just absolutely gorgeous, really, really strong songs. 4 brilliant musicians, all at the very, very top of their game. I mean, even, you know, Stairway to Heaven, which, as I think I've said before on this channel somewhere, for me has become probably unlistenable due to the, you know, it's become a cliche. But even that, you know, you can't deny what a great song and great performance on this album it is. So that's my number 2 from 71, Led Zepp 4. So my number 1, And this is it. This is the man who gave birth to glam rock. Mark Bolan and his band T-Rex. This is Electric Warrior, and this is the true transition from sort of hippie folky elf to glam rocker. Although it's not all you know, there is you can see the link between that sort of trippy hippie sort of stuff, and just absolutely brilliant songs. Mambo Son, Cosmic Dancer, Monolith. I love Monolith with its thick, unctuous lead guitar. I've got to say, Mark Bolan's guitar playing on this is absolutely stunning, and the production, the over-the-top production by Tony Visconti, it's just groundbreaking. It gives birth to this genre of music. It's great. And then on side 2 you've got the brilliant single Get It On, Planet Queen, and then one of my favourite T-Rex songs of all time, definitely one I want played at my funeral, which is Life's a Gas. Just absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I could have loved you, girl, like a planet. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So, I've got 2 copies of this album. I love it so much. I've got this, and I've got a sort of recent audiophile repress, which both of which have got great sound, to be honest. Fantastic album, perfect glam rock pop. T-Rex, Electric Warrior, my #1 British and Irish album from 1971. Okay, well, thanks for joining me. Next time it will be my top 10 71 from the north of America, USA and Canada. Alright, thanks again, cheers.